What's going on, everybody? Oh, what a week, what a day, what a month, what a year. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. If you can't for some reason, message me and I will try and apologies for the light. Currently moved to a new location to a new house. Don't have my full lighting. Cutting out. Let me see if I can figure that out. Give me 1 second. Audio, headset, speaker. That should be better. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, like I said, don't have my current setup moving this week, so a bit of a hectic week. And to be honest, all the issues that are going on with COVID and player changes and all the updates that we're trying to do to the site have kept me quite busy. So I'm going to do it very similar to what we did last week, where this is sort of your stream. So you guys just drive the questions. You guys ask the questions. I can talk about game by game, but I really don't want to do that unless I have to. But I would just start firing questions here. If anyone wants to come on, whether it's someone who works for a smaller site, just someone who wants to get some camera time, someone who just wants to hang out and ask some questions. I mean, we can certainly do that as well. Message me at Devin Knotts FBG on Twitter, and I can send you the link. So let's see. I would just start going through and let's start. I guess we can start here. I know this isn't a season-long stream, but happy to answer any questions, season-long or DFS. I think the NFL is showing that they're going to do everything that they can to play these games. If we look at Denver doesn't even have a quarterback, so I think they're going to force Baltimore to play. James Conner tested positive, or apparently, or is contact tracing. Who knows? But I would continue to play the guys that you want to play, or continue to play the guys that are in that game. Is Kelsey a must play or pay down? That's a good question. So let's take a look at DraftKings just really quickly. And if we look at the tight end position, I think there's a couple value guys that are opening up. So if I look at Kelsey, great play at 7,000. I think that he's obviously one of the top plays, but it's going to be very difficult if you want a quarterback who is not named Matt Ryan or Derek Carr. And you want Dalvin Cook to also fit Travis Kelce in. So I think Gerald Everett is entirely viable at 3,300. I think Hayden Hurst, especially if Julio Jones is out at 3,900, is interesting. And then Kyle Rudolph at 2,800. The issue with the Kyle Rudolph and the Vikings tight ends has been the red zone looks. So both Irv Smith and Kyle Rudolph are outside the top 100 in red zone looks, but Adam Thielen is out, who leads the team in red zone looks, and Irv Smith, who is second in the team in red zone looks, is out. So I think Kyle Rudolph could be in a decent position as the number 2 receiver there. Could you play Travis Kelce? Absolutely. I'm not going to tell you no. I don't think he's a must play. Talk about the Denver situation. I will talk about that once the questions start. Give me about a couple minutes and I'll jump into that one. Still feel good about Bird. I feel as good about Bird as any receiver there. So on DraftKings, Damiere Byrd is only 4,100 versus Jacoby Myers, who's 5,300. Gun to my head, I think that Myers probably bounces back a little bit and has a good game, but I think Bird is the value play there. Wilkins or Heinz on Fanduel Cash. Do I have to pick one? If I have to pick one, it's probably Wilkins. He's safer, $5,000, but I'm not going there. I think that Brian Hill and Wayne Gallman are better plays. Sure, I can go over new value plays. So let me pull up my article where I sort of outlined all of these on our Football Guys website. And let's see, here are the ones that I had noted. And like I said, we'll still talk about Denver here in a second. But okay. So Drew Brees is out. Taysom Hill will start again. We know that. Todd Gurley, I think, is one of the big ones. Brian Hill will get the start. Brian Hill is a fantastic play this week, one of the best value plays on this slate. Anticipating him to get 15 to 17 carries in a good matchup, not a great matchup against the Raiders, but a good enough matchup. John Brown will miss this week with an ankle injury. This should really help Cole Beasley. So in the 2 games that John Brown has missed, Beasley's caught 17 passes for 165 yards. Beasley also leads the team in red zone targets. So I think Cole Beasley is a borderline must play this week. The Vikings, I talked about them a little bit, but they're an absolute mess. So Adam Thielen and Irv Smith will miss. Kyle Rudolph and Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson should be in everyone's cash game lineups. He's going to be incredibly popular. Kyle Rudolph is a viable tight end. I'm not going to say he's a must play. Brandon Allen starting for the Bengals. Not sure. It's probably better than Ryan Finley, to be honest. Ryan Finley's looked awful. But it's not a situation that I really like in either direction. Austin Eckler, I think he's playing this week, but who knows? I think he's active, but I don't know that that's going to make that big of a difference. Tyler Higbee is questionable. I don't know if he's been ruled out yet. If he has, Gerald Everett becomes one of the top plays at the tight end position. Salvin Ahmed, it's actually pronounced that way, is out. And I think Myles Gaskin was also ruled out. So it should be Matt Breida, a little bit of Patrick Laird. The guy that I'm kind of keeping an eye on is Malcolm Perry out of Navy. So he played 78% of the snaps last week and really saw a lot of the looks that Ryan Fitzpatrick was going towards. But I don't think that anyone there is cash viable. And then the last one, the Jaguars are a bit of a mess. So Jake Luton is out. Mike Glennon will start. DJ Chark and Chris Conley will also miss, leaving their only healthy receivers, Keelan Cole and Laviska Shenault. Both are okay plays. I like Shenault a little bit better than Cole, but I think that if you want to take a GPP stab on either one, I think that that's not the worst case. On DraftKings, if you want to play Cole, I think he's super cheap. For cash games as a complete punt, I don't hate that either. All right, let's catch up on some of these questions. Are you setting your lineups in the morning? I always set my lineups right after lock, so I'll have a placeholder, but I don't typically hit the final button until about an hour, 30 minutes to an hour before. Matt Ryan, Bridgewater, or Taysom Hill? Good question. It depends on the site. So on DraftKings, I believe I'm going Matt Ryan. On Fanduel, I was going Taysom Hill, but with the Denver news, I'm not sure that that's the route that I want to go. So let's go. If you can afford him, Matt Ryan, but he's $600 more than Bridgewater. I think Bridgewater's in an okay enough spot this week. Or if you need to punt the position, I certainly think you could. Low-cost wide receiver, Aguilar, Gage, or Shenault. Depends on the site. So I think if everyone could just put the site, it'll help me tremendously. But I'm sort of interested, and I'm just looking at my projections here. I'm actually going with Nelson Aguilar of this group. I don't ever trust Russell Gage. I think that he's sort of the guy that people want to love, but he's had a couple of good games here and there, but he's not the guy that I'm looking towards. I think that Aguilar against this Atlanta defense, outside of Darren Waller, how are they going to move the ball? So I talked on the Power Grid about my disdain for Josh Jacobs, and I think Atlanta's run defense is one of the better units in football. So I'm going with Aguilar there. Both Cole and Shenault playing. I would enter that lineup. I don't know if that's a cash game lineup, to be honest. I would enter that into maybe like a 3-man or a like a 3x or 5x value. I don't know if I can go Cole and Shenault in the same lineup. DK Cash, do you think it's all right to play Cook and Jefferson in the same lineup? Absolutely. I think it's going to be very popular to do that. Yeah, I fixed that about 20 minutes ago. Let's see. I can see your comment, so let me check the YouTube channel. I would imagine that these are coming up okay, but if they're not, somebody please let me know. Jamison Crowder, Jacoby Myers, Damiere Byrd, or Eckler, PPR fit flex season long. We need more information on Eckler. I think we'll get something before lock on Sunday, but it's tough. Without that information, it would be him, but otherwise looking through, it's probably I would probably go Jamison Crowder. Yeah, I think if Eckler isn't deemed to be one of the starting guys, then I would go Jamison. No, there's no Patreon Fleabit Peanut Monkey. So I'm not sure what you're seeing. Brian Hill in a GPP. Brian Hill everywhere. I think that Brian Hill is in a fantastic spot this week. Ebron, Hooper, Disley, Rudolph, Jordan Reed, or Gesicki. Let me look at my tight end rankings just really quickly. So Ebron, Hooper, Disley. I'm going to go Austin Hooper there. I think that he's the guy that I want. Gesicki would be second. Yeah, Gesicki would be second. Giants, Dolphins, or Saints defense. Depends where. So the Saints are a great play, probably the top play. If you can afford them, I think the Giants are more than a fine play and provide a little bit of a salary relief situation. So I'm not going Dolphins this week. I think that Ryan Fitzpatrick has a little bit of upside there. So yeah, Josh Allen for me. I think that one's pretty clear. Royce Freeman in play. Great cheap quarterback option. I guess this is as good a time as ever to talk about Denver. So I think it's going to be Kendall Hinton starting this week. I don't anticipate that Royce Freeman, he'll see some Wildcat packages, but I don't see a scenario where he takes most of the snaps. Hinton played quarterback in college at Wake Forest, at least for the first year and a little bit. It's a year and a half. And I think that he's the guy that will continue to see that run. I don't know if it's been firmly announced, but I would continue to check it. Obviously, if we get different information and things are changing by the minute, by the second, it seems like if Freeman is going to be the quarterback, you're going to want him in all of your lineups, much like Taysom Hill last week. I can't do that, to be honest. I don't. The only scenario that I can see Kamara having a ridiculous game is if this game just gets out of hand and they hand the ball off. It's really concerning that he hasn't seen the upside in receptions. So at his price needs to come down a little bit before I can make a case for him to be a GPP play. Let's see. Lock in Saints D if you can afford them, but I don't know that I would force them in. I think that if you guys can see if you guys can, I certainly do it. Let's see. 2 favorite wideouts under 3,500. I'm assuming you're meaning DraftKings. So let's look at DraftKings just really quickly. Under 35. So that eliminates Denzel Mims, who I like a lot. It eliminates Keelan Cole. It eliminates, I think one has to be Laviska Shenault. And then the other would be, gets really thin. Under 35. In Keel Harry. And yeah. I'm a big corn pudding fan for Thanksgiving leftovers. So it's sort of like a cornbread, but it's a little cream of corn in it. We have a local restaurant that makes outstanding corn pudding. If you haven't had it, I highly recommend it. Craziest DFS slate ever. It's up there. I don't know if it's the craziest. There's been some crazy ones, but COVID has changed everything. So nothing surprises me anymore. I think that it very well could be the craziest slate. Fanduel Cash Flex, Heinz, Hill, or Gallman? Brian Hill. Is there a better team defense to play than New Orleans? Better team defense. The only case that you can make against New Orleans is while they may only allow 7 points, are they going to limit Hinton and Freeman enough where they're not going to force them to throw the ball? They're going to run option. They're going to just run the ball. And you know, what that does is it limits your upside on interceptions. And so do I think the Saints are a good play? I think they're safe. I think that, but if you're not throwing the ball, it limits your sack upside. It limits your interception upside, which inherently limits your touchdown upside. And with how popular they're going to be in a GPP setting, I don't know that you have to go the Saints. I think that the Giants are a good play. I think going down, I think that the Jets at 3,000 on FanDuel are a fantastic way to save salary. They're not a great team, but to save that much salary against Ryan Fitzpatrick could be interesting. And then the Browns facing Mike Glennon, I think that they're in a decent spot as well. Wilkins or Heinz. So for me on FanDuel, it's Wilkins, and DraftKings, it is Heinz. No, good. Glad you got it figured out. Yeah, if you're not seeing the chat, you may just want to reset the stream and it'll come live. And sorry, I am like 5 minutes behind, so I apologize to everyone out there. Let's see, more comments here. Include Sunday night. Is Aaron Jones a good pivot from Dalvin Cook? I'm going to say no. I think that Derrick Henry is the pivot if you want to pivot off of Dalvin Cook. I think that Jones's floor is too low. McLaurin or Allen Robinson? I don't know the format well enough of the Players' Championship to answer here. I'll say if you need upside, go. Well, McLaurin has already played, so I don't know how that's possible. Okay, you clarified. Robbie Anderson or A-Rob. So let's look. Anderson versus A-Rob. I think the answer is Robinson, but it is barely Allen Robinson. It's close, though. How many times do I think Denver quarterbacks drop back to throw? 20? They probably want 10 to 15, but they're not going to throw it 30 times. Devontae Parker is in a good spot this week. In season long, do I think it's worth starting any Steelers or Ravens players? Yeah, I think that game plays. Like Gus Edwards, if you wanted to play him, if you're desperate, I think it's fine. Mark Andrews, obviously, you're not going to have a better tight end. Lamar, Roethlisberger is okay, and then I would pick up who's the backup in Pittsburgh, because I don't know that James Conner is going to play. So it would be Benny Snell. If you're desperate at running back, you might want to think about Benny Snell. Wentz, Hill, or Tannehill season long. I'm not going Wentz. So it's either Tannehill or Hill. I'm going to go Taysom Hill. Higher upside, better team. Well, I don't know if it's a better team, but has more upside and has a higher floor too with the running ability. Christian Kirk with no Larry Fitzgerald. I think that Kirk is always sort of a risky play, but in a GPP format, he has the upside for that contest. Would I consider Baker Mayfield for DraftKings GPP? No. They're just not. They would have to deviate very hard from what they've done, which is just be a run-first team. So I know the salary is intriguing at $5,300, but Daniel Jones is $5,500. Ryan Fitzpatrick, $5,500. If you want to go a little lower, I don't really want to go lower than that. So I would stop at 5,500 is the lowest I would go. Maybe, yeah, I'm not going to go lower than that. Dalvin Cook. So here's what I'm doing with Dalvin Cook. I am playing him in cash games. I think he's a must play in cash games. I think in GPPs, he is a fantastic fade. He's just so expensive. And that's the biggest problem with Dalvin Cook is at $11,000, and I'm talking Fanduel. So on DraftKings, I'm playing him in both scenarios. At $11,000, I can go and I can get, I think Derrick Henry's 8,300 and Nick Chubb is somewhere in the 7Ks. So that's 15K versus 11 plus a minimum salary guy. He would have to have a monster game, and it's certainly possible, but it's not a scenario where I want to pay 11,000. For him to pay off, he's going to need 40 points in a GPP. No, thank you. Thoughts on Dez? Glad he's back in the league. Like, that's the only thoughts that I have. I'm not playing him in any format unless you're absolutely desperate, and it's a Tuesday night game, so I don't know what format that might be. Is BC Johnson in play at 3K? Not really. Like, if he scores a touchdown, like, great, but I guess if you want to take it depends how many lineups you're going to play. I don't really have him in my lineup pool, but if you have 20 lineups, maybe you take a shot on him. Brian Hill, Galman, or Heinz at this point for cash? Entirely depends. Wait, maybe it doesn't. DraftKings, the answer is Brian Hill. Or no, I'm sorry. FanDuel, the answer is Brian Hill. I wrote him up in my article as one of my core plays this week, taking over for Todd Gurley. On DraftKings, let me check my rankings. I think the answer is still Brian Hill. Yeah, it's still Brian Hill for me. Yeah, Eckler, if there's any indications of Austin Eckler being full go, I think that he's a fantastic GPP play. I just haven't seen that, and I think we just found out like an hour ago that he's going to be active. So I need to hurry up and catch up on some of these questions. I'm like 5 minutes behind. Anderson or Parker on FanDuel? Anderson. It depends how badly you want to win and how much your 8-year-old nephew is going to care. I have an 8-year-old nephew, and he wouldn't care, to be honest. He's not that into fantasy football yet. If I'm putting in a single lineup on FanDuel, do I use a consensus GPP score, highest point GPP score from the single lineup build? What I do is I look at the, assuming you're using our single lineup builder, which is builder.footballguys.com, I use David Dodds' projections. I tend to think that they're the best cash game projections in the industry. Is New Orleans defense a must play? I think I already answered that one. It entirely depends. I think in a GPP setting, you can fade that. Are you trying to get Waller in most FanDuel cash lineups with the value available? I haven't decided that yet. And currently I have Waller in, but I haven't found a build that has one of the cheaper guys in the lineup yet that I love. And part of the problem is Kyle Rudolph I like a lot, but do I want Delvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, and Kyle Rudolph? I think that's too much. Gerald Everett is a guy that I'm looking at pretty hard. My Sunday lineup update is entirely free. So even if you're not a Football Guys subscriber, I send out my Sunday morning thoughts. Look for the link on Twitter there. We're only doing it this season, so next season it will be behind the paywall. I missed some of these. 9,200 left for a wide receiver and defense. So 9,200 defense. Let's say Robbie Anderson in the Jets, 9,100. Godwin, best wide receiver option for Tampa Bay. I think so. I think he's hopefully finally getting healthy. Antonio Brown still is kind of gaining, working on gaining just cohesion with Tom Brady, but I think Godwin is the best play there. Must plays for me are Brian Hill, Dalvin Cook, and I have Wayne Gallman as a top play as well. But like I said, follow me on Twitter. I'll send out my Sunday thoughts with my cash game lineup. Devin Knotts, FBG. Should 3 max lineups? Yes, this is a good question. So 3 max lineups, what I will do on those is I will guarantee myself a stack. And after that stack, I treat it exactly like a cash game lineup. It's a good question. I would not treat it like a large field GPP. Best Bucs players to run back in a Chiefs stack. I would say Chris Godwin. That's probably. I don't like Antonio Brown. I know some people do, but I'm not there yet. Henry is. I agree with that. Henry is better than Cook in a GPP setting. What is going on with the San Francisco backfield? So that's a good question. So I want to say it was Raheem Mostert was active. Let's see what we have projected for this backfield. So Mostert, McKinnon are going to be active. I think it's going to be Mostert seeing the most amount of work, and McKinnon seeing that third down role and getting back to sort of what they were before the season started. So I think it's very. I don't like either one of them because it's in a tough matchup, but Mostert is probably the guy there. You have organically talked about the preferred format and price for draft. I'm not sure the question. Are you asking us to be more site specific? Our Power Grid is sponsored by Draftkings, so it's always going to be slightly heavy towards that, or very heavy towards that show. So I try to call out a couple FanDuel plays here and there, but I actually like Phil. I just don't like some of his takes. Let's see. Cooper Kupp or Justin Jefferson? Justin Jefferson. If you took Royce and Free and on FanDuel, where would you most likely to spend the $1,500 to $2,000 in savings? It entirely depends on your current lineup build. So places that I would look at quarterback. So potentially going up from someone like a Derek Carr, Matt Ryan range into the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes range. Depending on what you have at tight end, maybe you look at upgrading Waller to Kelsey. But otherwise, if you have Dalvin Cook in there, I don't know that you need to go Royce unless it's determined fully that he is going to be starting at quarterback. Yeah, like I said last week, I'm going to keep doing this as long as people have interest. We're at 110 people right now, which is insane. And sorry, I'm very behind on questions. I'll try to keep I'll go as long until the questions stop. So let's see. Can you play Galman, Heinz, and Hill in FanDuel Cash so you can fit anyone you want? I don't like Heinz because you don't have the guy that everyone wants, which is Dalvin Cook. Nyheim Hines sort of, let's look at his touches. So, 6 carries for 2 yards against the Packers. Awful run defense last week. 3 receptions. I think he has upside, but do we trust Nyheim Hines enough in cash? Probably not. And that's the issue, is that 8, 9, 10 carries, 4 to 5 receptions, which is great on DraftKings because of the point per reception. But on FanDuel, I don't know that I can get there. Okay. Can I talk about Tampa's running backs? Do I have to? Let's look at Tampa really quickly. So Leonard Fournette, 4,900 on DraftKings. Ronald Jones, 6,100 on DraftKings. Based off of that, give me Fournette. I like Jones a little bit more as a player, but I don't really like either one of these guys, to be honest. I think that Tampa's going to be behind and throwing the ball. There's better, cheaper plays this week. Saints D, I've mentioned a couple times, but I'll just say it one more time, as I know a lot of people are popping in and out. Great cash game play. I don't think they're a great GPP play, just because I think the passing opportunities will be relatively limited. No one talking about Niners, Rams, sneaky GPP stack. Look, I like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods and Gerald Everett. I don't know that I like any of the 49ers side as much. My top wide receiver values in San Francisco, if we look at it just real quick, Deebo Samuel is really the only guy that I'm really interested in. I'm not going Kendrick Bourne or Richie James, or Jordan Reed for that matter. So I think that if you want to run it back with Deebo, I don't think it's the worst play in the world, but I'm more on the Rams side than I am on the 49ers side. Deontay or Jacoby? Give me Deontay. It's risky because will that game be played? So I think it gets played, though. I think it gets played. Better stack, Samuel and Moore or Cup and Woods? Give me Cup and Woods because there's a third wheel in Carolina that I like quite a lot named Robbie Anderson. Anderson has been the top guy with Bridgewater in that lineup, so I do like the Cup Woods side of that a little bit more. Do I see Trubisky as an upgrade, downgrade, or meh? For Allen Robinson, probably an upgrade. Trubisky, while he's limited, does lock on to Robinson, so maybe a slight upgrade. Nothing insane, though. Let's see. Drake or Harris standard? Yikes. Probably Drake. Tony Michelle's back, right? Yeah. But he's not really going to have that big of a role. Yeah, give me Drake. Scary, but ugh. Wilkins in cash. No, neither in cash for me right now. Wilkins in Fanduel GPP is Heinz on Draftkings. Check back what I post on Twitter, Devin Knotts FBG, to see my full thoughts on whether Wilkins becomes cash game viable. At the moment, he's not for me, but he might get in there. James White. So why? I can't. No. There's just, if there weren't this many breaking news things, maybe, but can't do it this week. Hunt or Davis standard? Let me look up red zone carries real quick. I want to say Hunt was way up there. Yeah, give me Hunt. He's been getting some red zone carries even with Nick Chubb there. If Eckler and Kelly play, do you still play Eckler? We're going to find something out. I believe that we're going to find something out before Sunday regarding usage for Austin Eckler. So I can't speculate as of now. Do I play Eckler as it stands today? No, because he's still expensive, relatively expensive, and we just don't know what the role is going to be. So Kalen Ballage is dealing with an ankle injury. So is Eckler just going to come in and be a third down guy? Is he going to be limited? Who knows? So am I playing a message today? No. Cash game must play for James Robinson. I think he's a very good play, particularly on DraftKings. Is he a must play? I don't think so. I think he was earlier in the week when we recorded the Power Grid, but I tend to think James Robinson is a little overpriced at 6,300 when guys like Brian Hill, Nyheim Hines, Wayne Gallman, although Wayne Gallman's more of a FanDuel play for me this week. I think he's a great play. Is he a must play? I don't think so. Matt Ryan GPP, sure. I think that he will be one of the more popular quarterbacks this week. Do we trust Chris Carson? I don't. I don't think he's 100%. It's hard to trust him. Dawson Knox, Tyler Croft, or none of the above. If you have 3,100 left in a DraftKings GPP, I would go Kyle Rudolph. But if you want to be contrarian, neither one of them are guys that I had thought about this week, to be honest. So I don't know that I would go there. Tyler Definitely not Croft, but I think that Knox is meh. Would I play Derek Carr on FanDuel? Sure. I think that Derek Carr is one of the better, cheaper options. So I think you're onto something there. What do I think about the Colts receivers? Michael Pittman is the guy that I'm targeting. I'm not going to T.Y. Hilton. Just can't do it. I think Pittman gets a slight upgrade because of the Jonathan Taylor news, just like Wilkins and Heinz did. But if I look at Indy, they have what? Pittman, Hilton, and who is the last one? So Zach Pascal. Yeah, no, thank you. It's Pittman or bust for me. Take my tea off the stove. Maybe it's the fan from my computer. Sorry about that. Do I have any showdown strategies? Not really. I don't play much of this showdown slates. Any love for James White? I talked about that earlier. Ridley or Thomas standard? Give me, well, it depends on Julio. So if Julio sits, give me Ridley. If not, give me Thomas. Thomas saw a majority of the targets from saw a lot of targets from Taysom Hill. Is that a teapot in the background? No. It's concerning. So hopefully that was 5 minutes ago. Hopefully that has since stopped. Do you think Raheem Mostert plays tomorrow? Yes. Anyone playing the Air Bear, and that's Justin Herbert, in FanDuel Cash, I think he's just too expensive. There's a game script there that could pan out, but Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes for me if I want to spend up that much. Do I think Dobbins has truly taken over the Baltimore backfield? Yes. My highest projected in the optimizer is naked Daniel Jones with Jacksonville running back and 2 wide receivers. Yeah, that's too much. You could go one of the running backs and one of the receivers, but going 2 of them on the same team plus the running back without their quarterback, that's just too much. Do I like Shenault or Rudolph? Shenault. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust to get the. Maybe it's my phone that's so close. We'll move that away. Anyway, roster construction for cash on DraftKings: 3 running backs or 4 wide receivers. So I think it depends. Cash, I'm always a three running back guy, and I think that's the safest play. They're guaranteed the most touches. FanDuel Cash best play wide receiver under 6K is Cole Beasley. Let me confirm that, but the answer should be yes. Let's see. Wide receiver under 6K. Here are the guys that I like, and then I'll get back to who the best play is. I like Curtis Samuel at 5,900. I like Michael Pittman at 5,700. I love Cole Beasley at 5,400. I like Sterling Shepard at 5,400. Keelan Cole at 53 is probably a little overpriced. And then Nelson Aguilar has high upside in a GPP. So I think that Beasley is my favorite this week. Would I trust Julio or go with Pittman or Mostert? If Julio's active, I'm playing Julio. Fitzmagic, no. I can't do it. I like Fitzmagic against bad defenses with good offenses because then he gets into these shootout games. Who's the quarterback for Denver? That will be Kendall Hinton. There's speculation that Royce Freeman may get some work there, but I think it'll be primarily Hinton. Trey Burton in a GPP. Oof. What's his price? 54 on Fanduel. So no on Fanduel. Burton on DraftKings, 3,200. That's more tolerable. So on DraftKings, if you want to play him in a GPP, that's completely fine. No, you're good. I will answer any questions, and I'm just happy that there's 125 people here right now, which is crazy. So thank you, all of you guys. Like this, comment, subscribe if you're not. It's free on YouTube, so it helps the channel quite a bit by giving us that thumbs up, if you would. Anyway, does Darnold bring Crowder's floor back up? So yeah, I think absolutely. I think that Crowder is now back in play as a GPP monster, a guy who can get 8, 9, 10 receptions, maybe only 60, 70 yards for those, but I think Darnold is going to pepper him. Is Hurst the most viable cash tight end, not named Waller or Kelsey? I'm assuming you're talking about DraftKings because on FanDuel he's a little bit overpriced. Let me see my value rankings just really quickly. No, I think that in cash, it depends. If Julio is out, yes. If Julio is playing, then with Ridley and Julio, we saw how that sort of worked last week, and it wasn't great. So I would probably go down to Austin Hooper or Kyle Rudolph there. Maybe Gerald Everett too, if we get some positive news there. Top 3 stacks. Yikes. Let's see. Top 3 stacks. I like the super stack of Goff, Woods, Cup. I like Mahomes and Hill because I think Kelsey will be more popular. And let's go Josh Allen and Cole Beasley. I don't believe Kendall Hinton is on FanDuel at all. He was a practice squad guy that got called up. I don't think he's actually been officially called up. So it wouldn't surprise me if DraftKings doesn't have him. No love for Tyler Eifert. I think he's I think he's fine as a GPP play. I don't know that I can go down there for cash. Tyler Boyd, Allen Robinson. Yeah, probably. Let's see. I'll have to get the audio figured out for next week. Thoughts on Taysom Hill as a streamer with the no quarterback? In a season-long league, Taysom Hill as a streamer is fine. What do you think about the Ty Johnson on the Jets? Man, you guys are digging deep. I like it. Ty Johnson getting some work. I think it's going to be game dependent. So Ty Johnson, 5'10", smaller back. I think he's a guy. I think it's Frank Gore if this game is close, but I think that it's probably a long shot play. Do we have a Facebook site? Football Guys does. I do not. So I post everything on Twitter. I think it's just Football Guys, and it's a group that people will go in and answer questions. But I don't post anything over there. I'll jump in Sunday mornings and answer some people's questions. But so if you're not a part of that, feel free to check that one out. Kelsey or Rudolph in cash. Depends on the site, and I hate to answer that. On The problem that you're going to have to wrestle with is, can you go Jefferson, Cook, and Rudolph? Maybe the answer is yes on DraftKings because of the PPR aspect, but on FanDuel, with it being so touchdown dependent, I don't know that I can go there. Dual tight end, Kelce and Waller. So if I think about Kelce and Waller, I always look at it as wide receivers that were potentially in that range and how I think about those players, or running backs in that range and how I think about that. So at 7,000 for Travis Kelce, you could get Calvin Ridley. If Julio is out, I would rather have Calvin Ridley than Travis Kelce. If at 60, what is Waller? 66,000 for Darren Waller, if you're set on Kelce, you could get to Robbie Anderson and Chris Godwin. That's a little closer. So I think that if you're stuck on Kelce and wanted to put Waller as a GPP contrarian play to play both of those together, I think it's fine. Let's see. DK Cash, flex spot, Gordon or Gallman? Gallman for me. Will I be filling in for David Dodds when he leaves? I don't think one person is going to fill in for everything that David does. So I don't do this full time, and I don't plan to. So I have a full-time job, although this is largely a full-time job. But so I'm doing both, but I don't know that I can take on additional responsibility. So I manage our DFS site, so I'm constantly thinking about how we constantly in contact with Joe Bryant, who owns Football Guys, on how we backfill David. I know that there's some knowledge transfer sessions going on, and some of you guys probably don't care about this at all, but I figured it was important to actually share. We will be extremely transparent as far as how we're handing off David's responsibilities, because he is such an integral part of Football Guys. We've had about 3 questions. Welcome back, first of all. We've had about 3 questions on Gallman. So on FanDuel, I absolutely love him. So I don't think that people are going to be overlooking him. Is Brian Hill the next Barry Sanders? That's the easiest question of the night. No. Brian Hill's 26. He's about to be a free agent at the end of the season. I can firmly say that he will not be the next Barry Sanders. Yeah, hit the like button, please. We'll keep doing this as long as there's interest. It's fun. It's fast paced, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it. That's exactly what I'm wrestling with. So, is Cook, Jefferson, Rudolph all in the same DraftKings lineup? Too many eggs in one basket. On DraftKings, I think it's okay. On FanDuel, I couldn't do it. Let's see. Would you ride with Mark Andrews if you could safely play Ingram? Let me see what I have projected for both of these guys. So Ingram, 40, okay, and Andrews, switch this. I think if you're worried about the game, I'm not worried about it, but I understand why people are. You could play Ingram over Andrews. I believe Kendall Hinton is a wide receiver on Yahoo. So if you're playing there, let me double check that. I'm like 90% sure I saw that earlier today, that he is listed as a wide receiver on Yahoo if you're interested in Kendall Hinton. Sorry, this is important to some people who play over there. Let's see. Kendall Hinton is, and I'm sure someone's already posted it in the chat, so I appreciate that. I don't even see him. Anyway, double check what he is over there, and if chat, you guys know, please post that here. Fitzpatrick or Tannehill? Tannehill. Juju, Metcalf, Claypool, T. Higgins, or Calvin Ridley start 3. Metcalf. So we're going to eliminate T. Higgins, and we're going to start Metcalf and Ridley. The question comes down to Juju or Claypool. So for me this week, it is going to be probably Juju. Taysom Hill or Brady season long. Brady. Hinton is not on Yahoo. Okay. So it might be season long that he's listed as wide receiver. Thank you. Cobra Kai is back. On Fanduel Cash, Giants or Rams, or punt to the Jets. I'm going with the Jets at the moment, but like I said, check back in on Sunday to see tomorrow to see where I land. Is Justin Fields a legit quarterback talent? Yeah, I think he's as good as he's the second best quarterback in this class. I would have him above. I would have him above Baker. I would have him above Joe Burrow. I would have him. I don't know about Kyler. I didn't think Kyler was going to be that good, but he's been fantasy great. But how long that keeps up, we'll see. I think Fields has everything that you could want from a quarterback. Yeah, everything's good with Dodds. So he's just done this for a long time, and deciding to spend more time with his family, which I can't say I disagree with him. What am I drinking? Jack and Coke. Yeah, Wes, I think that what we're trying to do is we're doing a lot of things in the background. They'll probably be called Football Guys projections next season, and really getting dialed in on David's process, making sure our numbers behind the scenes are coming out to almost identical to what he produced. So I think that you won't see that much. They will still have David's algorithms and David's process, and we've really tried to make sure that a lot of people love it, including myself. I've been a very big proponent of having to nail his projection set. What do you think about stacking Chubb and Hunt and run it back with Cole? I think it's fine. We've seen games where both running backs score a touchdown, both running backs have big games. I think it's completely fine to do that. Ryan coming back to the Power Grid. Whenever he wants, he can come back. He's having some work things going on where his schedule just doesn't allow it for Thursday nights when we record it. Fitzgerald is out, and strong play for Andy Isabella. I think Andy Isabella will continue to be a deep threat, like we've seen for a lot of this year. So, will he see a couple more targets? Probably. He's more of a GPP play than he is a cash game play. I think that Hopkins and Kirk see the biggest uptick based off of the targets. Not saying that Isabella isn't a good play, but I think that with all of the other changes that we've talked about this week, that he's more of a deep play. I think that he's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 4% rostered. So he's definitely a contrarian GPP play that if he catches one of those long touchdowns, which he absolutely can, you're going to be in great shape this week. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anytime Ryan wants to come on, or really anyone on here, if you ever want to come on here, shoot me a message. We're going to do this every week. So appreciate everyone here. Galman or Heinz on Fanduel? Galman. Feels like you have to make a stand with Cook or Jefferson and add Rudolph to either. I don't disagree with that. I just, in cash, I just can't get away from clicking on Dalvin Cook. It's it's guaranteed. I don't want to say anything is guaranteed in life, but it seems he's pretty guaranteed to get 20, 25, 30 points or so. But he needs more than that in GPPs, which I would fade. I would fade Dalvin Cook on Fanduel at least. Do I think Austin Eckler will be a lock since he's slated to play? No, I don't think he will. And Denzel Mims, I like Jamison Crowder a little bit more. Lions better off without Patricia. Yes. I don't ever want to celebrate someone getting fired, but he was overdue. I think that Jim Caldwell got the short end of the stick there. Matt Ryan or Taysom Hill? Matt Ryan in a season-long league. Fanduel Cash, Cup or Waller or Myers – wait, I'm confused. Fanduel Cash, Cup and Waller or Myers or Pittman and Kelsey. Give me Cup and Waller. Cash tight end Waller as we stand today, yes, on Fanduel. Would I prefer Galman to Robinson on Fanduel Cash? As of now, yes, because I like the builds better on Fanduel for Galman, but it's scary. It's a little scary. So Robinson is more expensive. It's going to cost you really a premium to get there, and I want to spend up at the quarterback position on Fanduel. So I'm actually playing Patrick Mahomes in Fanduel Cash as we stand today. Could change, so I would highly encourage everyone to go on. I can't say it enough. Go on Twitter, and I will post a link around 10:30 a.m. tomorrow on Devin Knotts FBG and where I finally land with my cash game lineups. You're welcome, Anna. Thanks for sticking. I mean, we still have over 100 people, and we've been here for an hour, which is crazy. Rudolph or Tanya? Rudolph for me. Parker or Cup Fanduel Cash? It's close. Let me just double check my numbers really quickly. I think the answer is Cup, but I want to make sure that that's true. Cup and Parker. Yeah, it's Cup. I have him about 2 points higher in my projections. Okay, so I think that's everything. I think I'm all caught up. I appreciate everyone here. We had a consistent over 100 people. Crazy once again the turnout. So thank you all. One last question I'll just answer. Are Dodd's projections good for cash and GPPs? Yes, his are some of the best in the industry. I think that almost every high stakes player subscribes to Football Guys to get his projections and uses them with a couple of other people. So some of the best players in the industry are using David's projections. So yeah, I will see everyone on Thursday for the Power Grid, and then I'll see you all next Saturday back here once again. And I can't thank you all enough. And please give this a like or a subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow this a little bit. So thanks everyone, and have a great night.